Hello and welcome back to my Manifest Your Success series. Today we are going to talk about attitude. But before we go into that, I would request, if you haven't been listening our previous series, go back and hear it. If you have been, let's proceed. Do you have an attitude? Anyway, positive or negative. Do you have an attitude? Hello, I'm your host Priya Mishra, and this episode is dedicated to having an attitude and how important it is. William James, a leading thinker of the late 19th century and one of the most influential American philosophers, said, "The greatest discovery of any generation is that a human can alert his life by alerting his attitude." Elvis Presley was told, "You are never going to make it as a singer," by a band leader. When he auditioned as a vocalist, the band leader told Elvis to get back to being a truck driver, which was his job then at the Crown Electric Company. Little did this person know that Elvis Presley will begin the rock and roll in the US and become the most sought-after star of his time. It all happened because the nasty comment about his singing did not stop him from pursuing his dream. Steve Jobs was taken out of his Apple company, only to be taken in again because he was what Apple needed to be, the leader in the industry. After being booted out, Jobs continues in the pursuit of the best computer and the software he perceived will revolutionize the computer industry. He didn't allow himself to be taken down. He literally continued working behind the scene in his garage when he was taken out. Will you believe that? That's called perseverance. Teachers of his childhood said that Thomas Edison was too stupid to learn anything. Even Albert Einstein was regarded as stupid. These teachers must have been in shock to know that these perceived stupid boys would turn out to be one of the greatest inventors of America, and the one who will develop the theory of relativity, a pillar of modern physics, Einstein. Walt Disney was fired by a newspaper editor and was told that he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. I wonder if the children or grandchildren of his editor were not influenced by any Disney movie of their time. Disney never gave up. We quoted him as saying, "All the adversity I have had in my life, all my troubles and obstacles have strengthened me. You may not realize it when it happens, but a kick in the teeth may be the best thing in the world for you." If you have been served everything on the silver platter, you wouldn't thrive for it. You wouldn't have the hunger for it, most probably. Majority of people who have that kind of perseverance, resilience, persuasive attitude, they are the one who actually gonna look into it and actually continue working on their dream. In my book, Journey of Perseverance, I have mentioned how I have shown my resilience and perseverance. In Journey of Perseverance, I talked about how I have been thrown multiple times and I was not accepted in the radio station, but then I never gave up. What was common among all these great people in that they provide their detractor wrong? They knew who they were and stood tall, anchored on their dreams. Their attitude in itself helped them initiate the battle that they are wanted to win all their life. Just a tiny drop of doubt can poison an entire well of faith. But their attitude of never giving up is the reason for their success. How can you develop a never give up attitude? One word: responsibility. Tell yourself, I am the one responsible for creating the reality or action that I visualized in my thoughts. If I truly want it, then I must get up because it is now or never. John Maxwell is a renowned author and a leadership and management expert. He said that in his 35 years of exploring success, the secret obstacle among successful people is that they hold steady throughout the storm because they have a true North Star. They truly are focused. Their North Stars become one anchor in their lives. Did you find your North Star yet? Did you know where to focus on, where to target upon? Ludwig van Beethoven had some hearing problem that later resulted in deafness. Despite his condition, he gave the world a wonderful symphonies, concerto, and sonatas. He considered one of the greatest composers of classical music. In a letter to a friend, Beethoven wrote, "For 2 years I have avoided almost all social gathering because it is impossible for me to say to people I am deaf. If I belonged to any other profession, it would be easier, but in my profession, it is frightful state." In his hearing problem got worse. Beethoven wrote, "I'm feeling stronger and better, except that my ear sing and buzz constantly, day and night. It must have been such an ordeal for a music lover to go through this." You may ask, how could he have composed and led an orchestra? The answer is he relied on his 30 years worth of experience with music, remembering how instruments and voice sounded and worked together, and that what I think is awesome. Another person who has gone through so many struggles in his life is American author and educator Helen Keller. She was blind and deaf before the age of 6. She had to grow up in a darkness to learn how to communicate with the people around her. She took a slow process of associating objects with the world and figured out lip reading by putting her finger on the lips and throat of the speaker as they spell out their words. Who would even think that this girl would be an author, or that she would even graduate from the Radcliffe College in 1900 as cum laude, take lecture tour around the world? In Keller's words, life is either a daring adventure or nothing. We could never learn to be brave and patient if there were only joy in the world. These are the struggles who makes you stronger, and you become strongest in your prime time. Keller decided to take control of her inabilities by responding differently to a situation she cannot change, but what she believed she can do something about it. Jim Rohn, a motivational speaker and author, explained, "For things to change, you have to change. No matter what situation you have in a life, a poor childhood, uncaring parent, accident, sickness, injustice, etc., we have to make an effort to focus on our ambition and take the necessary discipline to achieve that ambition. The perception of things around you change when you start to change." Ron said, "It's not what happens that determines your life, it's what you do." He also said, "The same kind blows on us all. The question is, did you set a better sail?" Philosopher William James once said, "It is our attitude at the beginning of a difficult task which more than anything else will affect its successful outcome." If an attitude is a vital contributor to success, then let us look further into its meaning. John Maxwell said, "Attitude dictates performance." By the way, did you know that plants have an attitude indicators on the pilot's dashboard? Maxwell inquired about this from a pilot in charge of the plane he was riding. The pilot explained that the attitude of the airplane is the position of the aircraft concerning the horizon. The plant's attitude is vital in determining performance, and thus a pilot shifts once in a while according to the attitude indicator to achieve optimum performance. In human, according to Maxwell, attitude is an inward feeling expressed by behavior. The manifestation of this feeling is what makes things desirable or not successful or not. In this book, The Difference Maker, he defined that attitude is the key to making differences. To illustrate this point, he cited two people who were applying for the job as an example. He said that though these two have the same background, education and job experience, they are not likely to have the same opportunity of being hired. Why? Because each person's attitude is different. So much so that it can mean getting hired or not. When Oprah Winfrey was fired as a news anchor for getting too emotionally involved in the news she was reporting, she thought that God was telling her she was in the wrong zone and was leading her to something better. She then devoted herself to developing a talk show career, and her effort led her to the billionaire media executive and philanthropist. Attitude can also be a block of success. This is why Maxwell said that we should evaluate what attitude prevents us from success. Is it fear that prevents us to take action, or the lack of courage to face obstacles and take risks? It is procrastination. Is it the absence of a clear goal and a time frame for it? Is it the unwillingness to change? Is it complacency and pride that prevents us from learning? The attitude we take on is that what makes the difference in how we approach life. It is also that kind of attitude that dictates whether the result of your action will be favorable or not. Attitudes affects success in several aspects in life, whether in the attainment of personal goal, relationship, business endeavor. Maxwell enlightened us on 5 obstacles in obtaining a positive attitude. They are discouragement, problem, change, fear, and failure. In battling with these, Maxwell shares these tips. Get the right perspective and make realistic expectations. Surround yourself with the people who can uplift you. Treat problems as windows of opportunity for success. They are often wake-up calls for creativity. Success lies in the ability to anticipate change. Successful people see change as a step closer to a goal. Fears are often based on feeling than facts. Feeds the right emotion and starve the wrong. He says, I can never eliminate fear. I will never allow it to dominate. Stay away from the thoughts that sabotage success. Contemplating and failure begin failure. In the success journey, attitude play a vital role in the manifestation of action that lead to the achievement of a goal. Life is unfortunate. Events and changes are a given and can be constant and ongoing. Football players are taught to never show any weakness, to never give their opponent an edge, to open up when something hurts. In our culture is deviant. But when you sit down and think about it, connecting with those emotions is the real strength. The Power of Vulnerability TED Talk, Brene Brown explained that one of the most important things she found in her decade of research is that the sense of worthiness is what distinguishes people who have a strong sense of love and belonging from those who do not, and those who believe they are worthy to have the courage to be imperfect. In other words, they embrace vulnerability. Those who feel worthy, meanwhile, resist. Brene Brown is a professor at the University of Houston leading research in the topic. Her talk was become one of the top 5 most viewed talk of all time. We believe in your vulnerability world, and one of the ways you deal with it is we numb vulnerability. Brown said that ultimately leads to disconnections and destruct. So we need to think about where you stand and what you want to do with that. So in success, famous sports psychologist Graham Bradshaw asserts that a willingness to feel vulnerable unlocks you. If you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you have to great chances of winning. You must always be ready and be prepared for anything. Your attitude determines the state of the world you live in. It is the foundation for every success and every failure you have and will have. Your actions are a result of your attitude, which is done, created, and reaction from others. So, in our attitude series, that's it. See you next time.